Well, good evening everybody, you're doing well. I was a bit worried there wouldn't be very many in the audience because we've had very low attendance, but someone said to me it's a funeral home, people are dying here. My name's Ron Scott. I'm the centrefold in this little book. It's just a headshot, sorry. I first want to start, why am I standing? Why did I stand? Actually, I'm a first term councillor, and 3 years ago I said there are three things that I was interested in. One was the air quality at the Mount, at the port area, because I'd been on DHB, I was the deputy chair, and we were seeing that there were health problems as a result of the quality of air there. Second one was about public transport, because that's the most obvious thing for people looking in at the regional council saying, what are they not getting right? And the third thing was about making sure that we kept rates under control. So, how well have I done? Rates, lowest in the country. Public transport, we've made improvements, but nobody says it's perfect at the moment by any means. And in terms of the air quality of the port, everything we've measured has got better, but there's some things we're not measuring that we need to have a look at to see whether or not that's something we should, well, it's not to see whether we should, but we must actually start measuring the pollution that is clearly still in that area. So that was the why then, and so those whys are still with me now. I still want to make sure that rates stay low. We've still got opportunities with making sure that public transport improves, and as I've just said, the amount of air quality where there's solutions that we can look for there and achieve. I'm also interested in civil defence, which is something that I think Phil talked about earlier on. In this area, tsunamis is a big concern. When I was on the DHB, the White Island eruption happened, and it was clear that there were opportunities for making sure that we connected our civil defence around the region between the different councils. And it was reassuring just this week, where 100 staff, and most civil defence staff in the emergency are part-time. They've got other jobs, and they come in to do the job on the day. And just last week, 100 staff from around the different councils came together and started and did an exercise to make sure that they would work well together. They're learning from that, and we're going to make sure that we resource that to make sure that come the time, and there will be, it's certainty in this area, there will be need for civil defence for some sort of natural emergency. A little bit about me. I've, as I said, been on the council now for one term. I was on the transport committees, and I was also on the audit and risk, or risk assurance committee. And that was always of interest to me to make sure that we do what we're doing. And I was deputy chair of the monitoring and operations committee, which is the sort of the backward-looking committee to make sure that when we put an annual plan in, we keep into the annual plan and doing what we said we were going to do. I am also on some boards. Nationally, I'm on the board of the Royal Foundation of the Blind, and on the Consumer New Zealand and Workbridge. And all of those have in common working with people who are not the most powerful in our community. I think it's very important if you're going to be a community leader that you have those people in mind. Locally, I was the chair of the establishment board of Suzanne O'Bear Catholic School down the road here, and currently on the trust setting up the Gate Park Community Centre. I was also chair of Silk Charitable Trust, which supports people with disabilities. The importance of those groups is, well, one, you offer your skills, but also it's a way of making sure you hear from the community. Groups like this are fantastic, and they produce the evidence, they produce some thoughtful submissions, but it's also important, I think, for councillors to get in the mud and hear from people knowing about their daily lives, and that's what I've attempted to do. Some of my skills, my qualifications, I'm an economist. I've also got a degree in geography and history. I've got some tertiary qualifications in business and so on. And you say, well, that's wonderful. Spent a lot of time at university. But the importance of it is the range of skills it teaches you and how you approach information. And I can't remember who mentioned it now, mentioned that economics is the study of scarce resources. Now, that's council work, if anything is. You've got to make choices between the fact that you haven't got enough ever. You can give us another 100 million and spend it, and still need another 100 million. Geography is about how humans impact on the environment, and also about natural hazards. And so there's studies of that. And then history, it makes me cry about New Zealanders' understanding of history. And whatever you're reading, it's probably wrong because it's much more nuanced than that, and we get it wrong and do the wrong thing as a result of our understanding of history. So those are really important things that impact, I think, on my decision making. Is that the time? 30 seconds. I said about my background on the DHB, and health is one of my drivers. And being a healthy environment is really what this is about. Also, I was chair of the audit committee at the DHB, and we ran surpluses while increasing and improving on achieving the targets that were set by government. It's possible, you just got to be conscious and focused to make sure it happens. So we can get a bit flabby sometimes. I'll go on to the next question, I suppose, because that probably leads straight into the one about can we keep rate increases equal or below inflation? You have to be careful. You set a cap and it becomes a target. So it's not about target. Can we do it? Yes. With the exception if the government suddenly gives us some unfunded mandate that says, well, you've got to do this, that, and the other. So we have no option and no choice about that. But I just want to think, we've heard from a dozen people who all have some great ideas, and it's only 1% of rates increases, but that's 12 different, that's 12%. And that's the danger of what happens. We can also all have wonderful, good ideas, but we've got to have the ability to say, love to do it, but won't. Just today, the staff came up and said, there's a business case going to be produced about a passenger rail between Hamilton and Auckland and Tauranga. It's not going to be built. It's too expensive. We know it's not going to be built. Why are we investing in that business case? It's not a lot of money in the scheme of things, but you add it all up, 1%, 1%, 1%, and it does matter. That's what our role is, to be on top of those sorts of things. We can do it. I think the regional deal is a Trojan horse, and not actually the solution that everyone's claiming it to be. So let's focus on what we do, focus on quality of services, and just recognise that we can't do it all. So with that, please look at the centrefold, Ron Scott, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.